Hello guys, I hope you're doing well and keeping safe. So today I want to show you how to update the logger firmware, and you need to have your computer, your USB cable and your weather station. Then you need to have your Zentra utility installed in your computer in order to communicate to your weather station. So basically this is the setup of the weather station on site. And what you're seeing here is how to connect to your computer using the normal USB cable. So your computer is now connected to the data logger using the USB cable. The firmwares need to be up to date always. This will make sure that the station functions well and that it records accurate information all the time. So after connecting, after setting up the weather station, like you've seen the USB to your computer or laptop, you now open the Zentra utility, which is this one. That's now the software that we use to communicate to the logger directly. So you open the Zentra utility, you will see the communication port 15. It has the EM60 data logger, and now you connect like that. So after it's fully connected, you will see some readings. But now, since the firmware we have is very old, we will have a prompt to update it to the latest. Like for now, it is at 2.04, but the latest is at 2.09. So there are two options: you update over the air, or you choose the image. So why we have these options is that sometimes you may go for a field work, or your station is in a location where the network connectivity is very poor. So you will have to update it using the firmware image. But if you're at a place where the network is good, then you can just update now. Then it will update the firmware over the air. So the best way, like what I'm going to show you today, is to update the firmware using the image, because that's the longest way, and it's better that you have it as backup. Because if you are in an area where you cannot update using over air, and you do not have the image, then it's more likely that you will do nothing. So you have to have the firmware image as an alternative. So we choose the image. So usually, if you're going to a site, or if you have a weather station and it's not connecting over air, you can let me know so that I send you the latest firmware image, so that you have it already saved somewhere in your computer. Like in my case, I have a thermo folder where I have now the firmware images. So in this case, we are going now to update the firmware from 2.04 to 2.09, which is this one. We are choosing 1.90 because we are updating that one for the EM60G. But if you are uploading the firmware for the ZL6 logger, then its identity is 1.92. But now that we are dealing with the EM60, we shall pick 190.209. So we select it like that. Then after you select, it will be highlighted here. So we have the image, and what we do now is just to update like that. So most of the time it might take a bit of time, but you need a bit to be patient somehow, and let's see how it goes. So sometimes it fails completely. So in that case, you will have to press the test button on the data logger to make sure that it reboots the logger and the logger starts again, and that way it will load the file quickly. So there are some activities already happening here. You can see the initializing. So initializing just means that the logger is now preparing to upload the new firmware. So then there is a green line that is loading. That means now the firmware is being uploaded. So it will load like twice, then and then after it completes loading, we will have the new firmware for the logger. Then the station, the logger will disconnect. You can now see the second time. It's loading the second time, but a bit faster. And after it completes, then you will have new firmware for the logger. Yeah. So after updating the firmware, you will have again to reconnect because it disconnects. So you have again to connect to the logger and check a few things if the firmware upload was successful or if you have to change a few settings here and there. So the first thing after connecting again, you have to check what's the newest firmware. So this just displays itself here, 2.09.14, which is now the latest. So we brought it from 2.04 to 2.09, which is the latest. Maybe you might also want to check the settings. Yeah, the device information, that's the log ID, for example. You might want to add the name. The sensor configuration, in this case we have the 8MOS41, which is the sensor, and the logger is the EM60G. So you might also want to check that information, check the serial number, and just make sure that everything is in order. Then the communication settings, this is the number of uploads per hour and how many times the sensor. So you might want to change this. So you might add the number of uploads like that, or you might also want to reduce. So sometimes why we reduce is this station might be draining a lot of power, and if you want to reduce to prevent it from going off completely, in which we will start losing data, you might want to reduce the number of upload frequencies so that it is better to record than to upload, because eventually we will have the information. So then when it goes off and we completely lose the information, so we might want to reduce the number of upload frequency so that it doesn't use a lot of power to upload the information, but it uses power to record the information. Then when the power is enough, we can always get the information on the server. So this is where you can do that. Then after you change everything, you just press OK. So these are also some site information like the latitude, the longitude, the altitude. Those are just information that you might want to record into your metadata so that we have the details about the station on the ground. So basically that's how we update the logger firmware. And next time we will be looking at updating the sensor firmware. So that's all for now, and I hope you enjoyed the session. If you have any question, you just reach me on omoitvictor@gmail.com, or you can call, whichever way you want to reach us. Then we shall always try to get you promptly so that your weather station continues to record accurate information and it becomes reliable data in the long run. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time when we'll be doing the sensor firmware upgrade. Thank you so much, and bye.